being launched?
I was not invited.
Good.
Of course,
okay.
For the obvious reasons.
So we are calling this.
Neither was I.
Neither was I. Neither was I. Neither were my peers and masafara wenzangu from Mtaani. And yet we are being told this is an inclusive process. This is the document that is going to solve all our problems. Ayala does not have food on the table. Bam! BBI solves that problem. Ayala does not have fare to come to the tackle. Bam! BBI has solved that problem for Ayala if she says yes. So we are told it's inclusive, it's going to build bridges. We even saw some small bromance between the president and his deputy, and they were very good speeches. Now, I'm assuming here you followed the event.
I did.
Great.
Though Leslie.
Can we just touch on some of the speeches that were given during the day? Let's actually start with the issue of inclusion. In your opinion, given that the task force did not have a person living with disability, the task force did not have a young person. So from the word go, these people were excluded, yet we are calling this a Building Bridges initiative. What's your opinion?
Before Mheshimiwa answer that, I have a problem with this very narrow notion of inclusivity, where ati tunauliza wapi mtu disable hapa? I mean, they are part of the society. No, this model came from the West. And maybe there was some unconscious discrimination then, but you don't find, even in the US Congress, they are saying, by the way, we need to have a form of physical disability here. We need to have whatever. It kind of becomes silly. The issues. So you cannot say because you didn't see a young person there, or you saw a young person who is appointed by Matiang'i or Raila, like the one we are seeing, they are simply young people who are articulating older people issues, then you have inclusivity. Let us look at inclusivity beyond that, okay, tokenism, okay, this person with disability, are they not part of the society? Is the father not the father of the youth? Yeah. Is the father not the father of the disabled? I mean, is it a family or not? So if I come from a family with people with disability, so are you telling me that within that family, this person with disability, you call in his own one, yet I come from a community? But anyway, go ahead.
Give me a minute to tackle the professor. This is an No, the young people, the views of the young people in the BBI actually are not represented, Dr. Ojwang, because the young people were not there. They were not represented physically. That's why their voice is not heard in this document, just like the way our voice is not heard anywhere in this government, because we do not have that voice simply because we lack representation. Same with persons living with disability. You wouldn't understand the challenges that a left-handed person goes through trying to write on a right-handed person's desk. Would you now? Simply because you're not left-handed. You're not putting on that shoe. You don't know where it pinches. And until you do, you will not understand it.
I'm an expert in disability. You don't go to a doctor and tell a doctor. No, you don't go tell a doctor that because you don't have diabetes, you cannot treat diabetes. You are better off. You are better off with an expert in you than simply saying, is it about raps? What are the youth issues we can articulate when in total wa mtu?
Go and articulate.
You are part of family. You are part of family.
I'll mute you. Order. I've muted you guys. Mheshimiwa, pick it up.
This is paranoia. Oh, you say vijana tuko kwenda huko.
Kind of all men that are fighting in this country.
You're already muted. Mheshimiwa, pick it up. Well, I'm sorry for that, but let me tell you something that I think we have. In our country, we picked, there was, during independence and change of leadership and change of leadership styles, there was either you go communist way or capitalist way. And our country, I think, went capitalistic. But then we never picked exactly what capitalism means. We brought competition unfairly. We decided to compete on unfair grounds because there was no level grounds for people to compete. And that is why I think majorly the reasons why they were trying to include issues to do with women, people with disabilities, is because we are that kind of society that ignores the disability of other people, and disability in a sense that not health-wise, but even disability in as in being a woman, being a youth who doesn't have access to resources, being poor and being marginalized, and being from small tribes. I think being coming from a small tribe in this country is also a disability, because you can never become president in this country if you are a Somali, if you are a Pokot, I mean if you are a Turkana, if you are a Rendile, if you are a Masai, very rare, or even if you are a Kuria. You will have to do magics. You will have to do I don't know what to become president. So it is a disability, as in this country. So unless we change also the way we take things, unless we start having a different perception on leadership and how to share resources in this country. And I think the reason why we are raising these issues of disabilities and women and youth is because of resources. If these resources were shared equally and equitably, nobody will be asking, why am I a youth? Why am I not represented? Why am I not represented as a woman? If all the issues were shared equally, properly, and equitably, then I think these issues of separation of these are women, these are youth, these are that, should not have risen in this country. And all these come down to leadership. What kind of leaders are we electing? Are we electing sober leadership, sober leaders? Are we electing people who understand the problems that people have? I think this country needs to be revolutionized. It needs a serious revolution, and I think Ruto kind of, the deputy president, is speaking from some point where people are ripe for a revolution. It's only that he has not come out so clearly because he's still in government and he's still part of the government. But this country needs to be revolutionized, so that you can change all this. Look at what is happening now. Look at this document you're telling us. This document. If you look at this document, tell me a single reason why this document is taking space of what should have been development. Somebody is telling us that BBI is a child born out of handshake. Handshake is a child born out of an agreement between Uhuru and Raila to work together for the sake of this country. Tell me, since handshake, what prompted the handshake? Ni nini ilifanya Uhuru wasalamiana na Uhuru? I mean, Uhuru wasalamiana na Raila. Yeah, what? Tell me, was there a crisis? Kulikuwa na shida? Raila alikuwa amekataa kuenda election, dunia ikanyamaza. Raila ameenda kujiapisha, akanyamaza. Raila akaenda akapumzika nyumbani. Wajumbe wamekuja bunge, wameanza kazi yao. Wajumbe senators wameenda Senate kufanya kazi yao. Everything in the country was calm. The country had gone back to, to that normal situation. And then all of a sudden, handshake. Tell me the reason why we had that handshake. I've never understood. Myself, I've never understood. I've never known the reason. But I'll tell you the reason, which I'm speculating. The reasons is not what people think. Si ati Uhuru alikuwa anataka ati inji ikae vizuri. Tangu handshake inji imekaa vizuri. Si ni kweli? Umeona nini? Kuna kilomita ya barabara imetengenezwa after handshake. Kuna kilomita of railway imetengenezwa after handshake. We will only be having debts. Mtu anaenda kuleta pesa, mtu anaenda kukopa, mtu anaenda kufanya, but there is nothing substantive after the handshake which the government has done. Unlike even in the previous government, in the previous term. So when they tell us the handshake brought peace in the country is in our minds. It is us politicians and raia ndio tunaleta amani nchi hii. And why is it that shida inatokea wakati ya elections? So I think the major issue we should have addressed, even in this document, is elections. Nothing else. Nothing to do with the prime minister or whatever. Elections, how do we handle our elections? And after the elections, how do the president handle the country? So let me suggest to you, the reason why we had this particular handshake, it was because, and you should ask yourself, who brought the other one? Is it Raila who initiated the handshake? Is it Uhuru who initiated the handshake? The answer is obvious. It is Uhuru who initiated the handshake. Why would Uhuru initiate the handshake? Why? What was the reason? Uhuru is retiring. Why is he so passionate about having a handshake with Raila Odinga, who is contesting for presidency in 22? And Ruto is contesting for presidency in 2022, and all those others. Why is he interested with Raila alone and not with Ruto, not with Kalonzo, not with Mudavadi, not with the rest of them, if it was a real handshake? So I think the reason is Uhuru wanted a peace of mind to do his business. Raila also wanted a peace of mind to do his business. And this is what these people have been doing. No development, business. Hiyo ndio vitu yenye Raila na Uhuru walikubaliana. Kwamba tunyamazishe watu, tufanye biashara. Otherwise, miaka 2 itaisha na serikali itakuwa imeenda na hakuna kitu. That is the only reason why we had this.
Our time to eat.
Secondly, our time to eat. Secondly, came the issue of now, how do we view the 2022 leadership? Uhuru is scared of Ruto. Raila is scared of Ruto. So they, this is a meeting of minds. They reached an addendum that there is a monster in 2022 called William Samoei Ruto. So why can't we sit down and do or formulate a document that will either in one way or another prevent this guy from ascending to power? The problem now is you are tackling a guy also who understand the game. So walipoenda BBI 1, kabla kuachisha hiyo document, wakaanza kusikiza hewa inasema nini. Yule rafiki yetu ambao walikuwa wanataka kutackle akaanza kuvurusha, wakarudi tena kurewrite. So that by the end of introduction of document 1, hata wewe ulishangaa, kwani hii kitu yote wamekuwa kipigia debe nini? Ni tu.
In fact, the owner started denying and said, no, this is not what we were waiting for.
Not what we were waiting for. Later on wakarudi tena, wakasema ati let us go back again, reread the document, fanya amendments, nini vitu kama hizo, alafu wakasikiza rafiki yao anasema nini. Wakasikia tena dunia imekuwa mbaya. Wakarudi, wakaleta hii document. Tell me, in any part of this document, just show me any part of this document that is pro peace in this country, that is pro bringing the people together, that is, tell me. This document is only to assist 2 people, and that is Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta wants a continuity. Continuity either as himself contesting for the position that is here. And that is why I said in the first place, why is there no clause that denies the current president from contesting again in the next constitutional dispensation? Why is there nowhere in this document? If these people were gentlemen, if these people were statesmen, they should have included a clause that says anybody who has ever contested as a president of the Republic of Kenya and won should never contest for any position in this document. Anybody who has ever held a position of a prime minister before should never contest for either the position of the prime minister again. The reason being, in our constitution, we do not want something like you are extending your term. That is the spirit of the constitution, but it is not there. It is not there. So either in this document, Uhuru Kenyatta wants to extend his powers through the position of a prime minister, either himself or through a proxy. And that is why he created some, what we call, I think, multiple MPs. Create multiple MPs. Some people will tell you that the multiple MPs will have the people from Mount Kenya. But let me ask you, when has a nominated member of parliament helped anybody? Anywhere? Even people with disabilities. Hawajawai assist, wanaji-assist kivyao. People who are nominated to positions are only used as weapons to vote. They are normally called voting robots. So the multiple members of parliament who will be 70 in this particular case are only voting robots. These are people who will only be asked to come and take some cash and vote for a particular prime minister in that house. So I think Uhuru Kenyatta wanted to create a situation where he himself, if he wants to contest as a prime minister, or if he wants to pop up or a proxy, he will use the members who will be nominated to vote for that particular person. As for Raila, and this one, Uhuru was very tactful. How do we retain power without necessarily without necessarily contesting for the presidency. So we can still retain power just around there, coalescing around his person or their people, but the presidency can go whichever way. Just look at the article which is talking about the election of a prime minister, the nomination of a prime minister. Option 1, the president nominates a prime minister and sends to parliament, and parliament votes for or against. If he never garners 180 votes, then we go to the second option, and the second option is members of parliament sits and elect a prime minister.
It is well prescribed.
And the president has nothing to do with it. So look at that. Somebody will tell you, Uhuru Kenyatta realized that I would want to have a prime minister in this house, whether me or somebody else who supports my issues and of course all those other interests which politicians normally have. But the best way to do it is by putting this particular clause that says, when the president fails, so if somebody was to become president, like if Ruto was to be president and elects a prime minister not of Uhuru's choice, he will use the members of parliament, the multiple members of parliament, to vote again as that prime minister, and then sits again and vote their own prime minister who is of their choice. So those people are just for as voting machines. As for Raila, what stake does Raila has in this particular? What is Raila's stake in this particular document? Remember, Raila alikuwa ameambia watu wake, including me, that this is my last bullet. So when that ended, 2017 Raila never won.
Bullets get reloaded.
So the bullets, Raila had to reload the bullets, not one bullet. Ilikuwa moja, lakini sasa ilibidi aongeze ikuwe mingi, ndio ubahatishe. Ukigonga hapa ugonge pale That is Raila's stake. Raila knew that I will still contest for presidency in 2022. But what will I do with Mudavadi? What will I do with Kalonzo? What will I do with Joho? What will I do with all those
Oparanya.
Oparanya. So he had also to agree with Uhuru Kenyatta that let us create positions enough for these particular communities. And let me tell you this, the 5 positions created are slated for the 5 communities in this country. And wait and see. If this thing is to pass, kama hii kitu itapita, ngojea uone, you will never miss a Kikuyu, you will never miss a Kalenjin, you will never miss a Luo, you will never miss a Kamba, and you will never miss a Luya. In that 5, the remainder, hizo vitu zingine kama hiyo ni mifupa ya kutupia tu ile wa majamii ndogo. But
sisi tushakula nyama.
So tell me, how inclusive is this particular document? If it is only meant for 5 communities, it is never inclusive. So this was a document done by politicians who want to ascend to power, nothing else. Unaambiwa ati kuna kitu inaitwa commission ya vijana. Ngoja nikwambie Lucia, wewe ni kijana. Si ndio? You have a whole ministry of youth. You have a whole ministry. Already. You want to tell me a commission is bigger than a ministry where we appropriate funds to that particular ministry? So you don't tell me that you may create a commission ya vijana and yet you have a whole ministry ya vijana lakini hakuna kitu vijana wamefanyiwa kwa hiyo ministry. Kwanza hata minister ya hiyo ministry ya vijana ni mama mzee.
Actually that ministry imekuwa bundled with other things. Now we are with ICT rather than just being a standalone ministry on it by itself. Also, we have the National Youth Councils. So why do we need the National Youth Commission?
You have several things that goes towards youth.
Yeah.
So this one usiambiwe ati tumecreate youth,
and you know
whatever. Usiambiwe ati tumetoa. And let me tell you, I had an amendment in parliament. It is only that it coincided with Kenyatta's amendment on help. My amendment was that why should help develop interest? If somebody was given 100,000, ngojea mpaka huyo jamaa amalize shule apate kazi, alirudishe 100,000 kama alipewa 100,000. Kama alipewa 400,000, alipe hiyo 400,000 the way it is. Usituambie ati umewekea 4% interest. What interest? Wewe unauliza mtoto yako interest ya kufanya nini? Mimi sasa nikiwa na shamba nikiambia mtoto yangu enda lima, ndamuuliza ukilima upate gunia 10, rudishia mimi gunia 5. Mimi ni mjinga aina gani? Mimi nilizaa mtoto na kulisha mtoto. So these people telling us ati interest imefanywa ati mpaka sasa kijana apate kazi ndio nonsense. Na nilisikia ukisema siku moja, I was following this tackle sometimes. Na nikasikia akisema you know that is only 6 billion. How much money is being stolen in this country?
600 billion every year.
Every year is being stolen. Now what is wrong? What is so painful?
Write it off.
Write off this.
Do you know?
Write off pan paper. Pesa ya pan paper.
Helblon ni kama type ya pesa ya corruption.
Pesa ya mumias. You've written off pesa ya nani? You've written off several loans. Even ya AFC, even ya nini. Ya matajiri. Hukufanya bibi. Right off ya vijana. Ndio tujue hiyo very serious.
Na unatudanganya hapa we are the leaders of tomorrow.
Last week, then tomorrow never comes.